the floor as well. Hello everybody, welcome on YouTube as well. So today the Coax Foundation is organizing another match of the 8th of finals. My name is Aurélien Lorange and my colleague Miss Urbanova in the foundation will as well, we will host together this match between two teams who qualified for the 8th of finals and they prepared during 10 days on a topic that we'll talk about in a few minutes. But first of all, the teams are Qatar University, so we have the debate team of Qatar University and as well the team from Paris 1, Pantheon-Sorbonne University, so the team from Paris in France. And today we'll have a debate on a topic which was the government can be held liable in court for the economic loss to the companies caused by the lockdowns. So that was a topic you received 10 days ago, and you have been working on it to prepare arguments pro and cons, in favor and against. But first of all, we give the floor to the participants, meaning the students, and as well the judge and the coach. But first of all, I would like to ask Miss Fatima Kasrabi in Qatar to introduce yourself, tell which studies you do, which year, and yes.
Yeah, Fatma, she's trying to connect now. Just give her at least 2 minutes, possible?
Yeah, sure. So maybe we can ask you, Miss Al-Badr, to introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Maryam Al-Badr. This is my senior year. I study law. I'm at Qatar University. And that's it.
Yes, thank you very much. Then Miss Breton.
Yes, hello everyone. So I'm in first year of law and history of art at Pantheon-Sorbonne, and pleased to meet you.
Thank you very much. Then Miss Faure.
Hello everyone, I'm Nelia Faure. I'm a third year student in law and art history at the Sorbonne University.
Thank you. Miss Masson.
Hello, I'm also a student in third year of double degree law and art history at the Sorbonne University.
Thank you. Miss Al-Badr, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Could you maybe introduce? I don't know if your colleague is in the same room or not. No.
Yeah.
Yes. Could you maybe tell her to introduce herself, maybe with your camera or?
I see Ms. Kashabi already connected just now. So
okay, I see.
The floor is yours for introduction.
Please.
Hi, I was able to connect now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Yes. My name is Fatma Khashabi. I'm from Qatar University. I'm also in my senior year and happy to meet you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Arnaud Brega, one of the three judges, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, with pleasure, Mr. Lohan. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sandra Nóbrega. I'm a lecturer in the Hague University of Applied Science. I specialize in environmental law, and I'm looking forward to see the debate of today.
Thank you very much. Professor Schnurman, I'm not sure if you can hear me. Professor Schnurman.
I'm here.
Yes, great. Could you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Professor Charles Schnurman. I teach legal skills and methodology at Qatar University, as well as coach their court team and their debate team.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So now we'll move to the match. So we'll move to simply the allocation of the positions. Remind again, the topic was the government can be held liable in court for the economic loss to the companies caused by the lockdown. So we share my screen, then you will see the possible positions for each team. Hop, voilà. So normally you should see a wheel with an algorithm, and then the two possibilities for each team to be in favor or to be against. So two positions possible for Qatar University and two positions for Paris 1, Pantheon-Sorbonne University. So I will click and simply you will know which position you will have during this match for this topic. So Paris will be against the motion, so it means as a consequence Qatar University will be in favor of the motion, so it means Qatar University as well as a consequence will be starting the debate in defending that motion. So just before the 5 minutes I will clarify that, I will clarify that I wanted to, voilà. So Qatar University will be defending the position that the government can be held liable in court. And on the other side, Paris will defend the position that the government cannot be liable in court for the economic loss. So it means that Qatar will be starting in 5 minutes. We give you 5 minutes to review your notes and argumentation, and after we'll start the match.
Great. And during the match, you will, and just before I start the timer, when you have 30 seconds left of your speaking time, you'll see me raise a phone with a notification that 30 seconds are remaining. So don't get scared, you can still continue speaking, and then the second notification is when your time is up. It's a red sign, and on that note you can still conclude your sentence that you are just saying, but please don't start a new one because this can be already noticed by the judges more. If you have any questions during the match or any technical difficulties, please message me directly in the chat, and best of luck to the teams.
Yes, you have 5 minutes, you can close your camera and audio if you want. Here it is over for the 5 minutes preparation. So bless you, Mr. Vanova. And now we can as well start with the match. So you can open your camera because we'll start the match with the opening statement by Qatar University. So for Qatar University, you can start, you have 4 minutes for your opening statement.
Okay. Before I begin, can you please confirm that you can hear and see me?
Yes, sure.
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Good morning to the hosts, judges, and my fellow debaters. My name is Fatma Khashabi, and I represent Qatar University College of Law. This morning, I will demonstrate that governments can be held liable in court for the economic loss to the companies caused by the lockdowns. We support the proposition that governments should be held liable in court for the economic loss to companies caused by lockdowns for 3 important reasons. First, the economic harm caused to the companies greatly outweigh the benefits of the lockdowns. With the exception of some island nations and wealthy countries with non-porous borders, lockdowns were statistically ineffective, impossible to fully implement, and scientifically unsound. Second, one of the most important roles of the government to create a level playing field for fair business competition. We intend to demonstrate how governments have been complicit in supporting only those businesses that were pandemic-proof, while neglecting those companies that were directly affected by the lockdowns. Last but not least, we will argue that liability will strengthen businesses and incentivizing governments to invest more intelligently in pandemic preparedness. Douglas Ward Allen, a Canadian economist and the Burnaby Mountain Professor of Economics at Simon Fraser University, informs us that over the course of the COVID-19 pandemic, there has been no public evidence that either the federal or provincial governments of Canada have considered both the benefit and cost sides of their policy decisions. In fact, he claims that no government has provided any formal cost-benefit analysis of their actions. Indeed, the steady press conferences and news releases almost has entirely focused on one single feature of the disease. Although the focus of government announcements has changed over the year, from flattening the curve, number of COVID-19 deaths, number of COVID-19 cases, variant transmissions, there has seldom been any mention of the costs of the actions taken to address these concerns. The brazen lockdown precautions taken by some governments based on faulty data and fear-mongering amount to an act of negligence that should not shield governments from liability under tradition's sovereign immunity legal theories. Professor Lucas Bergkamp reminds us in his 2019 article in European Journal of Risk Regulation that state liability can arise if governments have been negligent in addressing the threat of the COVID-19 epidemic, specifically where they have created risks due to not implementing restrictions or not doing so in a timely manner, or otherwise have failed to protect public health and human lives. These issues are analyzed with reference to international law and the laws of the Netherlands, which has a well-developed system of state liability. He goes on to state that it is also possible that governments are liable for damages caused by measures to fight COVID-19. For example, regulations requiring the closure of cafes and restaurants will cause economic harm to the operators thereof. While his article does not address this specific possibility, he affirmatively states that governments are likely to offer compensation for the damages caused by these measures. Regardless of one's opinion of the lockdown measures, our position rests soundly on the theory of equity. Equity theory focuses on determining whether the distribution of resources is fair to both relational partners within a given society. To conclude, liability is a double-edged sword, and we are cognizant of the fact that it can be abused. We argue for an equitable common sense approach that strengthens companies while incentivizing lawmakers to aggressively analyze the best approach to facing the next pandemic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to give the floor to the team from Paris 1 Pantheon-Sorbonne University for the opening statement as well. You have 4 minutes.
Dear members of the jury, dear opposite team, with my colleagues, we stand negative on the resolution that the government can be held liable in court for the economic loss to the companies caused by the lockdowns. The pandemic has created a national inward-looking movement. Each state had to deal with the arrival of the virus and had to make decisions adapted to the considerations of the national particularities. In this context, the leaders made different choices, but the majority have chosen to lock down their populations and close the borders. This therefore had the direct consequence of suspending the functioning of the economic markets due to the lack of demand. Companies in all areas have been impacted and suffered economic loss. To avoid any confusion, economic loss is a term used to describe circumstances when an individual or an organization loses money. There is a difference between pure economic loss and consequential economic loss. A pure economic loss occurs independent of any physical damage to the person or property of the victim. Our topic refers rather to the consequential economic loss because of the impact of the lockdowns. When states had to deal with the arrival of the virus in their countries, they were forced to act quickly in the primary concern of protecting the residents. They used exceptional power to put in place temporary containment situation, which forced companies to suspend either temporarily or permanently their activities. What is important to understand is that states never directly forced companies to suspend their activities. Their economic loss was caused more by border closures than by national lockdowns. Indeed, this is the cessation of international exchanges that has really had an impact. The case of Sweden is particularly enlightening because the Swedish government did not confine its population. There was still a decline of GDP of 4% by 2020. We can surely imagine that the fact that states refused to lock down the population and protect the most vulnerable people would have caused important social problems. The feeling that the government prioritizes the economic interest of the country over that the health of its citizens. Moreover, the lack of insight on the pandemic evolution did not allow them to understand the economic consequences of these lockdowns. They were waiting for the arrival of the vaccine. In addition to that, different states or the European Commission provided economic support to small businesses and RD companies, which testify of states' desire to avoid an economic crisis and support companies. For these reasons, we do not think the government should be held responsible and liable in court. Our position is all the more supported by the fact that judging a government requires specific procedures and relatively long delays, which do not seem to be the most efficient way to help companies reduce their economic loss. The legal response does not ultimately seem to be the most appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we move to the first round of rebuttals. So I would like to give the floor to the team from Qatar University. You have 2 minutes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The other team said that lockdowns are that the government has already taken some measures by doing this lockdown, but in fact, this means that the government is actually taking the liability. The government has accepted the liability, so they accepted that they are liable. Therefore, they took these measures. So it doesn't mean that if they just took these measures that they take their hands and they stop taking more measures. So in fact, the government is actually should be liable and should be responsible for what they have done by lockdowns, leading to companies being leading to the economic loss to the companies. And this proves that they saw themselves, as I said, that the governments are already liable. This forces the government to be held liable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I give the floor as well for this first round of rebuttals to Paris 1 Pantheon-Sorbonne University. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, so we believe that governments have responded to COVID-19 with a panoply of measures. They took measures and they found solutions to help businesses and companies. For instance, the US Treasury Department is providing critical assistance to small businesses, American families, and workers across the countries. So we can see that the measures were on one side for families and on the other side for companies and business. It was with the American Rescue Plan, the creation of the American Rescue Plan. And also the European Commission, in order to save businesses, has put in place the most flexible state aid rules. It was allowing member states to provide direct support for hard-hit companies and also small firms, because small firms, they were more likely to close their businesses and have problems because they were less rich. And for example, on December 14th, the Commission found the creation of a 25 billion pan-European guarantee fund, and it was managed by the European Investment Bank, and it was to support companies affected by the coronavirus. For example, in Denmark, in August 4th, 2020, the support was 19.7 billion euros. So we can see that the government had powerful tools to recover or to prevent loss resulting from COVID-19.
Thank you very much. So now we move to the second round of rebuttals. So I would like to give the floor to the team of Qatar University. You have 2 minutes.
Yes, and as she said, that the government has already took measures, and they tried to help firms and other companies. It's just like what happened in 2008 and 2012, where the gross domestic product fell by 4.3%, making this period as the deepest recession since the Second World War. So in the United States, they actually helped banks. The government was able to help large banks. So why couldn't they help smaller firms? So in fact, the government had the ability to to bail out banks when they are actually not even when they were guilty at this time. So, but in this situation, in COVID-19 pandemic, the companies are not actually guilty. So that's why they should be the government should be liable. So they were liable when they were guilty. Why couldn't they be liable now? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to give the floor as well for the second round of rebuttals to Paris 1 Pantheon University, Pantheon-Sorbonne University. You have 2 minutes.
Yes. Well, first of all, the opponents said that the state helped large banks, but as we said, specifically for the European Union, the aids really focused their economic help on small businesses and did not only support the companies that could recover from the pandemic. And you said that companies were not guilty, and that's true, obviously, but we also have to consider that health is a superior imperative for governments, and especially for systems, legal systems that are based on the rule of law. For example, in France, the citizens' right to health is stated from in the constitution. So the government is pretty much forced to protect it in a priority way. And also, on what basis could companies sue governments? So because they really did through these heavy measures to help companies. And we also have we have 600 civil society groups of 90 countries that wrote an open letter that sounded the alarm to say that this is a time when government resources are stretched to the limit in responding to the crisis, and we should not. Sorry.
Thank you very much. So now we move to the conclusions part of this debate. So I would like to give the floor to Qatar University for your conclusion. You have 2 minutes.
To sum up, I would just like to point out to what my fellow debater has mentioned just now. On what basis are we holding the governments liable? As I mentioned in my opening statements, it's the theory of equity that the liability has to be established between the two parts, which are the government and those who are damaged and have been facing losses, and those are the small businesses. To sum up, the governments actually they have used the lockdowns, even though they were ineffective. They didn't stop the pandemic. In fact, they led to huge economic losses. So the lockdowns weren't really necessary. They haven't achieved the what they were meant to achieve. It didn't change anything with regards to how the pandemic has been global, and it has affected many people's lives. Moreover, the governments were able to support the large banks, but they weren't able to support those very small businesses and the small companies. So yes, this is our summary of our arguments. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. So now we give as well the floor for the conclusion by the team of Paris 1 Pantheon-Sorbonne University. You have 2 minutes.
So we stand affirmative by saying that government can't be held responsible for the economic loss to companies caused by lockdowns, because as the other team said, and as we said, we saw that with the lockdowns, a lot of company had to face economic loss. But measures were took by these governments. They invested intelligently in order to save companies and more specifically small businesses that required a lot of aids. So we saw that in the United States, in Europe also. And so how do you want to sue the government if they already offered their help? And also, we have to take in consideration the fact that there is already too much litigations that blocks the courts. So suing the governments can be inefficient and also very expensive. And a lot of businesses have already insurance policies to cover them when they have a lot of, when they face economic loss. So they already have helps, and governments just put money and they give tools to prevent future losses. And yeah, so we think that having to say that they were responsible is not effective.
Thank you very much. So, this is the end then of this debate match. From now, you are not anymore under evaluation by the free judge, so we'll be able to ask your impression, obviously, about your performance, the performance of the other team. As well, we'll ask to the coach and to the judge present in the room. So, I'd like to start with Miss Kasrabi. What did you think about this match, your performance, your team, and the other team as well?
I apologize. Can you please just repeat the question?
Yes, sure. So, Ms. Kasrabi, what did you think about this match, the two teams, and your own performance?
Yeah, it was you mean like my feedback about the experience. It is my first time. I've tried this before, but I was in high school and it was in my own native language in Arabic. So this was it's a new experience for me. I really loved the challenge that we faced in regards to thinking on our feet and trying to understand our opposing team and just get those ideas together. So I really enjoyed this experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Miss Breton, what did you think about this match?
Yeah, I think the opponent team provided really interesting arguments, and in general, this was a pretty interesting topic to work upon, and especially from the in favor position, as I think we French people tend to be pretty protective of the states, and thinking about state responsibility were pretty interesting to me, I think. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Miss Albader.
Yes, I think it was a great experience, and the opposing team actually gave great arguments and gave great statistics that I found very interesting. And if I had the opportunity to compete again and enter this debate, I would definitely go for it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miss Faure.
Yes, personally, as a law student, I think this topic is a little bit difficult because of its economic dimension, but it was very interesting.
Thank you. Miss Masson.
Yes, I think the other team did a very good job, especially if it was their first match in this competition. And I think the topic was really interesting because, well, it's something that we all faced, the lockdowns. And I wish we prepared the debate maybe better because we were in final exams, so it was a little bit complicated to do everything at the same time. But yes, I think everybody had good arguments and it was interesting.
Thank you very much. So I would like to give the floor as well first to maybe Coach Professor Schnorman. What did you think about this match in general?
Thank you so much. I am just so proud of both teams, and I mean that sincerely. I have a special place in my heart for the Sorbonne. I studied international arbitration there more years ago than I care to recount. So I was very excited when I found out that Qatar University would be competing against you. I think this is one of those events that we call a competition out of necessity, you know, but it truly is such a great learning experience for both sides. And I certainly hope that Qatar University can compete again next year. And I wish everyone the best of luck on their final exams.
Thank you very much. Then one of the judges, Dr. Nobrega, what did you think about this match?
First of all, thank you, Ms. Laurent, for inviting me for having this chance of participating and seeing such a great debate. That is a topical and challenging subject that you have discussed today. I do side with the concern of Mrs. Ford that said it's challenging for law students to think about the economic aspects of such a topic, but you all have done very well. So congratulations on that. I could really see that both teams have worked hard on the topic. So it was showed by the arguments that you have raised. Both sides brought data, academic relevant source. And this is, of course, as you know, it's part of the points that you get for that. So this is, I could see that you have prepared, also looking on how to then maximize your presentation. Also, congratulations on the fact that you accept the challenge of doing a debate on what is not your native language. We know the challenge, and this is very much appreciated that you have done this brilliantly. So well done, both sides. If I can give a piece of advice for the next round, because then it will, of course, the fun will continue. And I think it's very good having a strong opening. And it's very good to have a clear roadmap so that you can tell the audience what exactly is your main objective. And when you conclude, despite the discussion that has been with the rebuttals, really strongly reaffirm the first part of your statement so that you really finalize with that message that why you are against all pro the statement. So finishing line on that, it's also keep the audience with this feeling, this aftertaste that you are in control of this line of argumentation. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much for this great opportunity, and I wish you all the best of luck for the next round for the exams and everything. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I will be brief as well first of all, on the side of the organizers, congratulations to both teams for preparing actually this topic, which of course affected everybody around the world. The question indeed of the economic impact of the pandemic particularly, or simply the measures taken by the states. We'll have some opportunities as well for you to attend some events during the next days, so we'll inform you about it. Dr. Nobrega has an event that is open as well to you. By email you will know about it. As well, there is one about arbitration, so Professor Schnorman, you will hear about it as well in your email box. Even maybe speaking, I will let you know a bit later. But yes, it's something organized in The Hague University next week. I will send an email during the weekend for all the teams of the competition, so they can attend online, live, these elements we organize in the university where I work with Dr. Nobrega. And other elements you will receive, of course, your results after the weekend or during the weekend. It depends on indeed how fast we get the forms from the free judge. In your email box, you receive actually the forms with the comments and the advice and the scores, of course, directly in your email box for your team. That help as well for the next match, and of course the team who move to the next round will meet another team who qualifies for the quarterfinals. The match will be just before the end of May, a few days, around 28 maybe of May, and of course you will receive as well a topic for that match on a different topic again, a different theme even. And from that moment, obviously, we'll be with the last 8 teams of the competition. So voilà, this is all I wanted to tell for the moment. I give the floor to Ms. Urbanova.
Thank you, Professor Laurent, and thank you, Professor Nobrega, for being on the call as a judge for this match. And thank you for your preparation and execution of your arguments to both teams. Well done, despite the time constraints and the academic obligations that you had. For the match, as my colleague said, you will receive the results as soon as possible. And just from my side, just an invitation. It's possible to publish your research and arguments via the Hague International platform. I would also recommend looking through it because it's also a possibility to submit larger academic papers, case notes, or book reviews. Now, currently, we've just opened the 3rd quarterly call for publication. And towards the end of this calendar year, there will be a Young Authors Conference where you can also submit either your thesis or a larger academic writing. And you can apply to be on the panel. And in this edition as well, no matter the results of the match today, we hope to see you again, be that in the next round or in the networking or other accompanying events. Towards the end of the month or early June, there will be our 2nd networking event. We just had the first one yesterday where judges, coaches, and participants from different universities joined in. And they were able to, some of them met their future opponents, some of them met their past opponents. It was a very good experience for all, and we really hope to see you at the next one.
Yes.
Thank you very much again.
So I have a very last question. It's a tradition. We give a last question to the students before closing. Is on the side of, for example, the Qatar team, have you been already in Paris? Of course, the coach said yes, but I mean the students.
You mean like have we visited Paris?
Yeah. Yes.
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 Both of us.
Okay. Both of you. Okay. And on the side of the Paris team, have you been in Doha or in Qatar? Not yet. It means, of course. So what we mean by this is, of course, is to encourage both universities and both teams of students as well to make connections through this competition, because indeed, if you need to have, if you have some events and you want to invite the students from Paris or vice versa to your events, it's possible, and as well for networking in general, for career purpose. Because this is the reason of being of this competition. Of course, I forgot to ask as well, Dr. Nobrega, have you been? Yes, you have been in Paris, I think. Yes. But have you been in Qatar?
Not yet.
Not yet. So in case you are looking for an expert in environmental law, voilà. So she's in the Netherlands, and just to know at this moment. But indeed, she could help on as well on talking about climate change. This is the main themes. Yeah. Can I ask Professor Schnorman, what is your exact, I would say, expertise or maybe research interest currently?
Currently, it's in sustainable agricultural development here in Qatar. As I'm sure you're aware, we have a very challenging climate, and because of relatively recent political situations, the countries realized that it needs to be more self-dependent on agriculture. And so there's been a huge push for sustainable greenhouses and things of that nature, which carry with it a host of very interesting legal challenges.
Okay, so I think Dr. Nobrega wants to talk with you more, I guess, after this first connection, because Dr. Nobrega will explain, because we need to move to another match, but I will put you in contact. So as you can see, dear students, it's an opportunity for you as well to do the same. Depending on your own studies, you can make connections with the other students of this competition. In any case, if you need anything, you can contact us. In a few days, you will receive some emails from us with the results and as well with the events that we want to invite you to. Thanks again. Thank you to my colleague, to the students in Qatar in Paris, and we will contact you very soon again. Thank you again. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Well done,
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.